Oh, hello. My name is Salman Hamid, and I'm Assistant Professor of Integrated Science and Humanities at Hampshire College.
I'm Kevin Anderson. I teach courses in film and anthropology at the University of Massachusetts, and this is Film Autopsy. Hello, and welcome to a film autopsy of The Hunger Games, new film, greatly anticipated, directed by Gary Ross, starring Jennifer Lawrence and a really great supporting cast. The film has been winning just over the top in terms of box office numbers 2 weekends in a row. It's already close to 200 million North American theatrical ticket sales. It's a gigantic hit. Many people are anticipating this. It's taken from a young adult novel by Suzanne Collins. And with all of the box office sales going on, is this film really worth so many people going to see?
Well,
is it worth the wait?
As young adults ourselves, oh no, actually, probably we may not
Speak
qualify
for
that. So first a disclaimer, I don't think either one of us have read the book. So
I saw the cover.
So we are going purely by how the movie looks like. And
right, absolutely.
And I would say actually the movie is very good. It's not something that, in terms of dialogue and things like that, it's not something amazing, but I think it's very entertaining. The pacing, and I think you may know a little bit about the movie, that it sets up sort of like in some sort of indescriptive future, and you have 13 districts, and one district is ruling, and 12 districts are sort of like in a bad shape.
Maybe they're the 99%.
And they are the, and it takes a while to set it up, because we know that Hunger Games is about a reality show which is a little bit more brutal than, or maybe not, than The Bachelor or some other shows like that. But anyway, so it's a reality show. But I think the pacing was very well. It was done in a very nice way, and it keeps your interest. And just when you think it's going to slow down a little, it changes and actually sort of like changes focus very well.
Yeah. Gary Ross, who directed it, had previously done 2 films which I thought were exceptional, Pleasantville and Seabiscuit. And I think Hunger Games, while he really had to campaign to try to direct this film, and he won over the studios in terms of doing so, obviously. But I think his touch as a director comes through in that in the hands of a lot of other directors, I think they might have started the film off with some arbitrary action sequence to kind of hook us and then eventually lead us to the actual Hunger Games within the film in terms of the competition. But no, he takes the time to set up the kind of daily life of these very poor, or particularly one character played by Jennifer Lawrence, in her poor district, her relationship with her sister and with her mother and with this male friend who may or may not be a beau of hers. And it just sets up the real it really helps set up the contrast between life in the 12 districts versus the one of the 13th district, which is basically ruling the rest of them. So I like that a lot. I agree with the pacing. The cinematography had a couple moments that were very subjective camera work, and it was worked really well. Kind of a minimalistic use of music as well. This film, I think, considering that its source material was a young adult novel, I think it really delivers. And no, it's not highbrow cinema by any means, but I think it's quite interesting and raises some rather pertinent questions in terms of what's going on today about class divisions and things like that.
Yeah, and that is something that science fiction in many ways has used it and many times, and I want to come back to this issue of sort of like the usage of dystopia, for example, in general. But I think it's the acting that really elevates it to a different level. Jennifer Lawrence, she was fantastic in Winter's Bone, and in many ways this movie was reminding me of the Winter's Bone, because some of the sort of like the conditions were like that.
I mean, she's always, I think it's written into her contract that she has to, her characters have to eat squirrels in films
But she is absolutely fantastic, and I really like Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson, Stanley Tucci.
I mean, everybody, and I think that's what makes this different, even from Harry Potter or even Twilight and things like that. I mean, this is, so I think that makes
it has substance to it. Believable performances.
And on occasions, and there was one particular occasion when the dialogue seemed a little, the love affair or sort of like the love interest seemed a little wooden.
Oh,
in the cave. But it was folded, that particular woodedness itself got folded into the story. And actually it makes it intriguing.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
so I have to say, highly enjoyable. And there will be sequels. I mean, there's no question about that.
Absolutely, yeah. The story has a bit to say about class issues, but also the kind of cult of personality that reality TV programs have made kind of available, made such a standard for modern times, and the kind of general public's real lust for voyeurism, and there's really no such thing as an intimate moment anymore because everything's televised or shared through tweets and Facebooks and stuff like that. So I was really pleasantly surprised by the film. It goes 144 minutes and it doesn't drag.
But can I say one thing about this issue? About it's not highbrow, but it is science fiction, and that's where I wanted to come with the dystopia angle. I mean, it doesn't really engage with the topic. Yes, you can see the whole issue of 1% or Occupy movement and things like that. You can see that it's clearly there. But at the same time, it can grapple, I think, with more interestingly philosophical issues. I mean, I was thinking one of the movies that kept on sort of like reminding me of was Truman Show, for example, which
definitely.
I think is absolutely fantastic, wonderful. Yes, it's a Jim Carrey film, but it's great.
Directed by Peter Weir, though.
And,
so
right, and so, but that is a kind of a movie which actually takes the sci-fi element to it and actually elevates it. Here's a premise. Let's go a bit forward. Yeah. In this movie, to me, it seemed like here's a interesting sci-fi premise, but it's like sort of like a very popular version of that, but doesn't really engage with sophisticated level.
And again, we didn't read the book, but I think it is kind of this adventure, coming of age story set within a science fiction dystopian scenario. So I think in that sense, in all fairness, the director and the writer are not as concerned with the sci-fi dystopia as they are with the coming of age aspects of the main character and the kind of adventure aspects of the Hunger Games. So I think in future sequels, hopefully we will get to know a little bit more about what caused this division into different districts, and how did this one district get so powerful, and why do the Hunger Games actually, that was one of the questions I had following the film, was do the Hunger Games within the film actually serve this kind of structural function of keeping the districts from rebelling? And I'm not quite convinced of that in this film, but hopefully that's something they explore in the future. So,
and I hope the future is not dystopian of the Hunger Games. Okay, all right.
It'd be far more interesting if it is.
Yeah, I know. Well, most of the sequels are dystopian.
Yes. All right. So we're holding on for the remainder of the Hunger Games.
Midnight, where the stars and you